You're 16 on the roof of your parents' garage, nailing 3 shingles back down to save your dad a $450 service call from Home Depot's contractor list. 25 years later, you sign a deal with a private equity firm in the $250 million to $500 million range. Between those two moments sits a $76 billion industry, 166,000 workers, and a fatality rate 15 times the national average. Most never make it past the first summer. The ones who do learn that the roof is not the product. The schedule is. This is every level of a roofer in America and what it actually costs to climb. If you like breakdowns of how careers actually progress, like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Level 1. The Garage Tarp. You're 16. A storm took 3 tabs off the back slope of your parents' garage, and the Home Depot contractor your dad called wants $450 to come tarp it before Tuesday's rain. You climb the extension ladder for the first time without anyone holding it. Your hands shake at the top rung. You sit on the ridge for 30 seconds before you trust your weight on the slope. The asphalt smells like tar baking in the sun. You pull the wrapper off a bundle of shingles from Home Depot, $43.47, paid in cash from your summer mowing money. You slide a hook blade utility knife under the course above the damage. You tack 3 replacement shingles with an S-twing hammer your dad keeps in the garage. The hammer is heavier than you expected. The head wants to lead, and you let it. You weigh the edges of a blue poly tarp with 2x4s in case the storm comes early. You sweep granules into the gutter with a push broom. You drag a shop magnet across the driveway and pull 2 nails out of the gravel. Your dad walks out, looks up, and doesn't say anything for a long beat. Then he hands you $40. You stop being afraid of the ladder. The storm comes Tuesday. The patch holds. You keep the S-twing. Ready for Level 2? Level 2. The Humbling Summer. You're 18, 4 days out of high school, hired on as a tear-off helper at $17.82 an hour, the bottom 10th of the wage scale, what the Bureau of Labor Statistics calls a $37,000 a year job. You show up at 5:45 a.m. The foreman points at the ladder hoist and says load the roof. You hump 65-pound bundles up to the deck for the first hour. By 7 a.m., the south slope reads 150 degrees. Your boots stick. The pitch bakes off the shingles and coats the back of your throat. You run a tear-off shovel, a tie-down L burrow, $30.59 at Home Depot, under the old 3-tab courses, and the foreman shows you how to use the heel plate as a fulcrum. You strip ridge cap first. You work top down. Pop nails go into a paint bucket. Old shingles go into the equipped debris trailer parked over the lawn. You sister a rotted rafter on the north slope before lunch. You don't know what sister means until the foreman hands you a piece of 2x6 and a coil nailer and tells you to mirror the bad one. By Thursday of week 1, 2 of the 3 other helpers have quit. The industry runs at 60 to 100% annual turnover, and you start to understand why. You don't quit. The 5:30 alarm doesn't wake you anymore. You wake before it. Friday afternoon, the foreman walks the magnet sweeper across the lawn, finds nothing, and tells you to do the next one. Your first paycheck clears for $712.80. You cash it at the credit union and keep the stub. Ready for Level 3? Level 3. On the nailer. You're 21, 3 years in. The crew calls you a shingler now, and you make $50,970 a year. The median for the trade, plus $50 to $100 a square in piece rate on the bigger jobs. You run the coil nailer. You snap chalk lines with a Tajima reel, blue chalk, popped tight against the deck. You roll synthetic underlayment with a cap nailer at 4-inch laps. You roll Grace ice and water shield in the valleys. $251.17 per roll. 36 inches wide, 24 past the warm wall line at the eaves. You bend drip edge into the corners with tin snips. You set the starter course with the sealant strip facing out. You snap a horizontal control line every 5 courses to keep the field straight. You run shingles at 5 5/8 exposure. The spec on every GAF and Owens Corning bundle. 4 nails per shingle, 6 in high wind zones, all in the striker zone above the sealant. The foreman walks the slope behind you on Friday and finds 2 high nails on a course near the chimney. He pulls them with a cat's paw, hands you the shingle, and tells you to redo it. You redo it. You don't argue. The next morning you set up a sidewall on a 1.5-story cape. Pitch is 10/12, steeper than anything you've worked. You forget to weave a step flashing into the 3rd course at the kickout. The wall takes water on the first rain. The homeowner calls the office. The owner of the company drives out himself. climbs the ladder, looks at the flashing, and points. You recut the kickout that afternoon. You bed it in roof cement. You add a Smitty pad behind it. You pay for the drywall repair inside out of your next check. $340. The owner doesn't fire you. He hands you the layout for the next cape and tells you to do it twice. You do it twice. You stop flinching at the kickouts. Marco Lujan, the service director at Revelation Roofing in Steamboat Springs, told the trade press his crew installs a no-flash 2 snow fence on every steep slope job up there because he can't afford a callback in February. And you start to understand the geometry of a callback. The roof is not the cost, the callback is. By summer, you're running a full slope unsupervised. The tap-tap-tap of the nailer is in your sleep. Your Cougar Paws Performer boots, $219 at the supply yard, leave their tread mark on every deck on the route. Ready for Level 4? Level 4, running the crew. You're 28. 8 years in, you're the foreman now. You make $80,780 a year, the 90th percentile on the wage scale, plus a per-job foreman bump on the bigger tear-offs. Your truck is a used F-150 the company put your name on the door of. There's an iPad in the center console. You open Company Cam at 6 a.m. and photograph the staging plan, $79 a month for the Pro tier, and you push every crew member to upload start, midday, and finish photos to the same album. You order the load from the supply yard at 6:15. You call the dumpster swap by 7. You walk the homeowner around the staging plan before the first ladder goes up. You assign the steepest slope to the most experienced shingler on the crew. You cut in the ridge vent slot, 1 inch each side of centerline with a circular saw set to deck depth. You cap the ridges with TimberTech's Hip and Ridge bundles, $45.67 each, hand-sealed in the cold. On a Friday in October, you take a 30-square cut-up in Grand Rapids, Joe Westra's territory at Summit Point Roofing, where, as Westra puts it, the crew can't afford to have failing retention systems. The Saturday rain front is on the radar. You promise the homeowner button-up by 6 p.m. The dumpster swap doesn't show until 11. You lose 3 hours. You call the supplier, get a second dumpster delivered to a neighbor's curb, split the crew, and finish the field by 4:45. You walk the eaves at 5:30 and find one fish mouth on the south rake. You hand seal it. You magnet sweep the perimeter twice. The rain hits at 6:18. The roof holds. The homeowner pays the final draw on the iPad before you leave the driveway. Marketing posts the Company Cam album to the company Facebook page on Monday. You don't see the post. You're already on the next job. Ready for Level 5? Level 5. The truck and the iPad. You're 32. You traded the tool belt for a clipboard and a soft-shell jacket with the company logo on the chest. You're a sales representative on commission, 8 to 12% of contract, and ZipRecruiter pegs the middle of the field at $59,000 to $96,000 a year. After the August hailstorm rolls through, you door knock the freshest neighborhood for 6 hours straight. You order an aerial measurement from EagleView at $60 to $100 a report. You build the scope in Xactimate, $75 a month for the single user license, and you write it line by line, drip edge by linear foot, ice and water by square, step flashing at the sidewalls, detach and reset on the gutters. You match shingles by manufacturer for the line of sight argument. The Iowa matching rule, code 191-15.44, requires the carrier to replace as much of the roof as it takes to match within a single line of sight, and you know it cold, because the adjuster on this carrier always pushes back on the back slope. You submit the supplement with photos pulled from Company Cam on the foreman's truck. The first check from the carrier is the ACV. The second check, the RCV release, comes after the contract is signed and the work is done. You sign the homeowner on the iPad in their kitchen. You hand the file to production in AccuLinks, $250 a month for the essential tier, and you're back on the route by 2 p.m. Adam Benzman, who founded the Roofing and Solar Reform Alliance out in Colorado, started door knocking in May 2011 as, in his words, a broke massage therapist making under $19,000 a year. He told an Owens Corning training room that the wrench will not pay you what you're worth, ever, and that the contract will. You remember the line. You stop saving the pay stubs from the install years. They were never going to add up to this. Florida changed the math 2 years before you got the iPad. Senate Bill 76 in 2021 capped age-based reimbursement on asphalt over 10 years old at 40%. and Senate Bill 2A in December 2022 banned new assignment of benefits contracts after January 1, 2023. The chasers down there had to relearn the trade. You watched 2 Florida shops shut down in a quarter. You don't run that play, you run the one in front of you. You hit a $50,000 commission week in late August. The check clears Friday. Ready for Level 6? Level 6, the owner with crews. You're 41. You signed the LLC paperwork at 35, bought a second truck at 36, and you run 8 crews out of a 4,000 square foot shop with a whiteboard above the dispatch desk and your kids' school photos on the file cabinet. The book is $12 million in revenue this year, on roughly the industry average margin of 15%. You are GAF Master Elite. Fewer than 3% of contractors carry it, and the plaque hangs in the front office where the homeowners can see it on the way to the conference room. You're a Platinum Preferred for Owens Corning, too. About 1% of contractors. You run AccuLinks, Job Nimbus at $550 a month for the established tier, and QuickBooks Advanced for the books. You review the weekly P&L on Monday morning. You coach the sales team off recorded calls on Tuesday. You audit Master Elite paperwork on Wednesday. You answer the BBB complaint personally on Thursday. There's 1 a quarter. And you call the homeowner before you write the response. You list the company on the Roofing Contractor Top 100 application at the end of the year. Patrick McGinn at North Point Roofing in Woodstock, Georgia, hit number 74 on that list with $26 million in 2022 revenue and number 653 on the INC 5000. You read his page in the trade magazine and put it on the bulletin board in the break room. The re-roof market is more than 80% of U.S. volume, per Roofing Contractor's Q3 2025 Demand Index, and you don't chase storms anymore. You build the roots off referrals and the Master Elite warranty. An unsolicited LOI lands in your inbox in November from a private equity firm out of New York. You don't open it for 2 days. When you do, you forward it to your CPA without a subject line. Ready for Level 7? Level 7. The exit. You're 50, 15 years from the LLC paperwork to the data room. Wayne Holloway started Best Choice Roofing in a 900 square foot condo in Hendersonville, Tennessee in 2009 and sold it to Bright Star Capital Partners in August 2024 for a price the M&A advisor placed in the $250 million to $500 million bracket. About $277 million in revenue across 85 locations and 24 states. The cleaner public comp came in December 2023 when Roofing Corp of America sold to FirstService for $413 million all cash. The wave keeps rolling. Erie Home rolled into Leaf Home in September 2025 on a $4 billion private credit package from Apollo and Ares. The platform count went from 17 backed firms in early 2023 to 56 by the end of 2024, with 134 acquisitions in 2024 alone. You sit through the data room request list on a Tuesday. The quality of earnings team wants 3 years of weekly P&Ls, every supplier rebate sheet, every BBB complaint, and a list of every crew lead with tenure and 1099 status. You defend the earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization add-backs at a conference table in Midtown for 6 hours. You retain a 30% equity stake in the roll-up. The wire hits on a Friday. Holloway's line in the press release was that he was excited to begin the next chapter. And you read it the morning your wire clears, in the same office where your sister replaced your first rafter at 18. You leave the on-call line ringtone on for 1 more week. Then you change the contact name to the new VP of Operations. The phone stops ringing on a Sunday. You don't pick it up. Ready for the final beat? The Estwing hammer your dad kept in the garage sits on a corner of your desk now, in a glass case the office manager ordered from a frame shop in Nashville. The head is still scarred from the 3 shingles you tacked at 16. The handle has the same grip tape your dad wrapped around it the year you were born. The plaque under it says nothing. You don't need it to. The kid you hired last summer as a tear-off helper makes $17.82 an hour, the same rate you started at, and his first paycheck cleared for $712.80 at a credit union 3 blocks from this office. He doesn't know that yet. He climbed the ladder for the first time on Tuesday. The foreman who watched him said his hands shook on the top rung for 30 seconds. Then he sat on the ridge and trusted the slope. The $76 billion industry runs on that 30 seconds, repeated 166,000 times a year. On roofs nobody sees from the street. You see them now. You see them from the conference room window on the 14th floor of the building your equity partner put you in. The view is the same view every other founder on this floor has, and it's the one you wanted. The roof of the parking garage across the street has 3 blown-off tabs on the back slope. You can see them from your chair. You pick up the phone. You call dispatch. You send a crew,